unfortunately, there are too many demands. And if you ask one of the reasons, well, I'm sure if the Palestinians will stand here, won't agree with me, but that is a legitimate phenomenon. Abu Mazen, when he will sign an agreement with us, he will have to say to his people, forget about the right of return. It won't happen. Because the Palestinian refugees, rather than being resettled wherever they are, the way the hundreds of millions of refugees that of the 20th century, all the wars, take First War, Second War, and all the other wars during the 20th century, yielded, unfortunately, 100 million refugees. Do you hear about refugees, except the Palestinian refugee? Because they were kept as a torture. In order to continue, there is a cause to fight Israel, and they will promise you will return to your homes. It will never happen. So now he is the one that will have to tell them, forget it, you're being fooled, it will never happen. He doesn't want to be the one that will have to say so. And this is in our eyes probably the reason why he doesn't want to close the deal, which he could have done, in particular with Auerbach, our former Prime Minister. Yes, please.
You mentioned that for the movement, is need to have a solution.
That doesn't mean that will be the case, but the formula said the Palestinian neighborhoods will be part of a future Palestinian state, Jewish neighborhood, part of the state of Israel. So this one. One of the problems, of course, Temple Mount. Who will govern Temple Mount? You have the mosque, and adjacent you have the Wailing Wall. How you can do it? But there were different solutions also for that. That it would be the Waqf from one hand, Jewish religious authority on the hand, working hand in hand. If there's a will, there's a way. I think when we get there will be a solution, because both people, the Palestinians and the Israelis, are tired of living in a conflict. So even Jerusalem, which is probably the most complicated and the most emotional, it is doable. And again, it doesn't mean that it will be the Clinton formula, but there will be certainly a formula that will be accepted by all. Don't forget that there will be international pressure. We won't be alone in this field. So, and I hope, again, we reach the day where we can return to the negotiating table and reach the stage where we say, okay, now Jerusalem is left. Let's try and look for that for a solution. Yes, I think that you and then please.
I have a question about the state of Israel. Let me start. I think I'm skeptical of the Muslim world, of the Arab Spring. I think it's more like an Arab winter.
Disappointed, but you have it all wrong. You have it all wrong. If we had been a theocratic state, as you suggested, there wouldn't be gay parade not only in Tel Aviv but in Jerusalem. In Jerusalem, I mean, can you think of a gay parade in Tehran, in Cairo? Well, what are we talking about? I mean, just visit Israel and you'll see. Yes, there are Orthodox observant Jews, but this is, by definition, a secular state. Some, when it comes to personal law for the Jews, I accept that, a rabbi, and I have no problem, me as a rabbi, that he will marry me or my kids, but the Muslims have their own religious leaders, courts, etc. There are more than 1 million, 1.2 million Arabs living in Israel with full rights. They're practicing their religion. Most of them are Muslims. Some of them are Christians. Members of parliament. They enjoy more freedoms in Israel than any country in the Arab world. So I think you had it a little bit wrong. But again, the best thing is to see for yourself. Don't let me convince you. Go and see for yourself, and you'll find out that it's the country. It's the legislation of parliament, the Supreme Court, the separation of the judiciary courts and the executive wing, and we are functioning as is a democracy, a secular democracy like any other one in Europe.
I believe that if you're talking about Tel Aviv, I believe you. Because Tel Aviv is a very Western city.
And it's still part of Israel.
What? Sorry?
It's still part of Israel.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
But,
I'm coming from Jerusalem.
Jerusalem
Yeah.
is like the rest of Israel, really.
Have you been in Jerusalem?
A friend of mine went 2 months ago.
And
It was like a difference of night and day.
well,
Jerusalem,
there are two. I agree that there are two different cities, and that's why I think it makes it so attractive to tourists to see two different type of cities. But you can do everything you have. Look, you'll see that the nightlife in Jerusalem Friday night with Shabbat is not as wide as in Tel Aviv, but as wide as in Tel Aviv. And I'll be more than happy to take you personally to some of the nightclubs in Jerusalem Friday night. We have a deal? We have a deal?
about information that 1/3 of the people who live in Israel were Muslims or Christians. I think they're probably Muslim. And I very much doubt that they have full political rights and involvement in the Israeli clubs.
There are two.
No representation.
There are, what? So again, you are wrong. There are three Arab parties in parliament. They have 10 or 12 MPs. So where it's coming from? And one of us, I guess, is wrong. And believe me, check. Go into the website, look at the parliament, look at the list of parties, and you see 3 or 4 Arab parties, and they are accepted. Supreme Court judge, an Arab Supreme Court judge was the one who sentenced our former president to jail. This is just to give you an idea of the equality, etc. Yes, perfect? Well, no, who's perfect? You're perfect, yeah? No one is perfect. But taking into consideration, the conditions we're living in, believe me, but coexistence in Israel is better than many, many parts in Europe, and I don't want to go into details. And if you visit a city like Haifa, for example, or Jaffa, or Acre, you'll see for yourself, or Jerusalem, you will be walking through the old city, you'll go back, and you'll see coexistence. And you see coexistence that works. And because and why you don't hear about it? Because there are no incidents. Because good news is no news. So you don't hear about it. Yes, yeah, please. Yeah.
Well, I had a question because I took a course on Nazi Germany, and for that course I wrote an essay on the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, which is a first document, but the point is that I saw a documentary, and in the documentary they argued that after 9/11 it gained a survival in a sense, and also in the Arab world itself. And I'm wondering, how true is that? Do you notice that it got a survival?
Again, after 9/11, I didn't follow you.
Well, Mark Levin it was, and he argued that after 9/11 the first document got a revival because certain social groups interpreted it differently in the world from today. And what he stated was that this was another reason to attack Israel. And I'm wondering whether you actually noticed that the document got a revival again.
No, not at all. That was the way we Americans, the Western world, see it as an attack on the core principles of the free will, which were, in the eyes of the perpetrators, were a total violation of their and contradicting their values, and therefore they decided we are going to fight the West. Whether they are, again, they came from well-to-do families. They were not, the poor, starving, or angry citizens coming from a developed country. The well-to-do Saudis that just the notion of a different set of values was contradicting their mindset, and therefore they decided to do this awful action. So this is the way we look at it. Nothing to do with Israel. Yes.
So you were saying that Israel state, the modern state of Israel is where it is because of its historical biblical reasons, but it was